Welcome back to the Fever Dream with your host, Eli the Computer Guy, the dumbest smart guy you're ever gonna meet. Anyways, just in case you're wondering whether or not I actually like MacBook Pros, this is literally what's on my desk right now. This is literally on my desk for work. So yeah, I do kind of like MacBook Pros. Anyways, in the fever dream, just if anybody out there is actually interested, silicondojo.com, we are going to start offering office hours again. So I did office hours for a number of years where people could Skyping back in the day. It was Skyping. You could have conversations with me about what you're trying to do with your career, your business, or whatever. But yeah, actually, next Monday, Mondays between 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Asheville time, I'm going to start offering office hours again if you're interested. And that should go horribly. I think horribly is the word I'm looking for. We're gonna see how all of this works out at the end of the day. Anyways, I can put a bet. I can put a bet. And if you actually make a call in, if you're like Eli, I need some help with my problem. Before we even start the call, I already know, it's either mommy or it's daddy. It's always a mommy or daddy issue. 99% of all the problems out there are mommy daddy issues. I know this from experience. I've done hundreds. I don't know. I think I've done like somewhere between like 4 to 500 of those meetings in the past. And yeah, about 398 of them it was either a mommy or a daddy issue. But anyways, office hours are starting soon. And not only we're just going to do like the tech coaching. So we have tech coaching. I'm here in Asheville. Everybody likes to be a coach. So we're doing tech coaching. But we also are doing the virtual CIO thing too. And the idea there is if you run an organization, if you run a company, and you're trying to figure out like what is the difference between DigitalOcean and AWS. Hey, Eli, yeah, this company gave me a proposal, and they want to deploy all of our infrastructure onto their personal cloud that's sitting in the basement of a 15-year-old's house. Does that sound like a good idea? We can have a little conversation. We got a little conversation about what cloud actually means. Anyways, that's one of the things that I'm offering. Again, all still free to the end user. It's like this educational experience. Again, it's what if we actually believed the crap that we said? What if we actually lived our lives based off of the morals of our bumper stickers? I know, crazy. What? No. Anyways, so that's going to be free to the end user too. Hopefully, we'll get some tips in there to help all of this run, and we're just going to keep this fever dream moving down the road. I'm very excited about Wix. Again, I know a lot of people think I'm snarky about everything. I'm not snarky about everything. I'm snarky about stupid shit. Stupid shit I get really snarky about. Cool things I get really excited about. I gotta say Wix. If you have not looked at Wix, it is amazing what Wix has to offer. Because again, just look at this front page for a second, right? So we got the membership, right? So it's a membership site, and the membership has a full CRM solution on the back end. So when members interact with the site, it actually gets logged, and there's all kinds of stuff going on there. But then we got the blogging component. So we got the blogging component there. We got these e-courses. So this is like the demo. So this is a program I did for YouTube like 2 years ago. But I'm creating a full introduction to Python series. We're gonna have Python. We're gonna have Bottle. We're gonna have Node. God help me. We're gonna have Node at some point. Like that's all just gonna be self-study as part. It's all part of this. Again, we got the office hours. We got products going on here. We've got calendars. We got events, like actual events going on here. And this is all just tied together. This is what I'm paying $12 a month for. So again, it's like normally $36 a month. But it's all like tied together, and it's really well. Like I like Wix. I like Wix. Wix is good. Wix is good. Anyways, if you haven't checked out Wix, I know at first you're gonna be like, oh my God, Eli, what moron pays $36 a month for a website builder? Here's the thing. This is what I want you to do. Before you say that, see what a real professional has to do is a real professional has to look at their options, right? It's not about is $36 stupid. It is how does $36 compare to other options out there? And other off-the-shelf options are actually shockingly expensive, and questionable for value and quality. And then WordPress, holy crap, WordPress has gotten expensive. I was looking like MemberPress. So I think I used to use MemberPress. Um, so MemberPress is basically a plugin. Is a plugin you slap in, right? Anyways, when I used MemberPress for like Everyman IT, I don't know, whatever it was, 15 years ago. Yeah, 15 years ago, right? It cost like $100. Like $100. Yeah, right? So you deploy your WordPress site, you swipe your credit card, you pay $100. Now you have a membership WordPress site. Motherfuck, they want like $25 a month for the plugin. That's not like hosting or any of that crap. They just want it for their plugin. And then you are still responsible for your WordPress site, which means you got to pay your VPS. And then that's just like the membership component. That's not like all the other fancy bells and whistles. So all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I'm paying at least $40 a month and I'm responsible for everything. I'm responsible for everything. Or I can pay $12 a month to Wix, and if anything goes wrong, it's like, wow, their fault. And there's a value proposition there. There is a real monetary value to being able to say it's their fault, not me. It wasn't me. Anyway, so it's something to think about. Again, with Wix, it's $36 a month normally. But like what I did was I paid 1 month upfront. So I did the month-to-month program. And when I did the month-to-month program, they said, "Oh, you're paying month-to-month. Well, we'll give you a special offer. If you buy a yearly subscription, we'll give you 50% off." And I looked at it, and it's like if you buy 3 years up front, the price comes down a lot. So it was like, so if you pay like 3 years up front, the price is like $24 a month. But then if you use a 50% coupon, that takes it down to $12 a month. So I'm paying about as much as it would cost for a VPS for a full featured solution where I do not have to worry about updating crap on. I like Wix, and I cannot lie. Though there is a lock-in. There is a lock-in. They don't just put a padlock on you when you go in. They put super glue over the keyhole. I will caveat with that. Getting off of Wix might be a pain in the ass in a couple of years. But anyways, that's a problem for another time. So, what do I really want to talk about today? That is not the subject for the day. Very, very valuable information for founders, but that's not the subject of the day. I want to talk about is burnout as a founder, because this is a very important thing. So I, as a founder of a fever dream, again, I do not have a startup. I do not have a company. I have a fever dream. I have an idea. We're going to see what happens. Silicon Dojo. What if we lived by the morals of our bumper stickers? Yeah, that's probably stupid. Anyways, right? Let's think about this with Silicon Dojo, right? So with Silicon Dojo, with Wix, one of the things that's really cool about Wix is this whole self-study system that they have built in, right? So basically with the self-study system, I can create full e-classes. So we're doing Introduction to Python, right? Or I'm working on Introduction to Python right now. It has 40 modules, basically everything you know for Introduction to Python. It'll be one big old series. And so basically what I'm having to do is I go through and I had to figure out what all those modules were. And then I write out all the text information for those modules. And then I have to do a video for those modules. So each module, so it'll only be like a 4 or 5 minute video. Like they'll be short videos because it's very specific, right? Anyways. And I want to give this. I want the text done by tomorrow. Hopefully, I wanted the text done by Monday, but that didn't happen. Anyway, so I want the text done by tomorrow so that I can knock out the videos next week, hopefully, and have this thing online by the 1st. But one of the things that I've thought about before, right? There's ideas. Like everybody says the idea is the most important thing, right? And the people who think the idea is the most important thing are people who don't do shit. It doesn't really matter what your idea is. Well, sort of. It matters what you ship and what you ship. There's the idea, and then there's shipping the product. If you have ideas and you don't ship products, you're worthless. Anyways, the big thing is shipping the damn product, right? So I have this idea for a self-study program. I've created a thing, and then you got to sit there and you've just got to knock it out. And then not only is there knocking it out for introduction to Python, but then there's going to be Bottle. So Bottle's a web app framework that we use. So there's going to be a whole self-study series on Bottle. And then we're going to do Flask, we're going to do PHP, we're going to do CSS, we're going to do HTML, and we're going to do, right? Basically, I'm going to go. Because again, I've realized like I want to do the interactive classes. The interactive classes are very important. But again, what if somebody misses something, right? Then we have the whole self-study program. Oh, you missed a class on JavaScript. Hey, look, we got the self-study program on JavaScript. And then you can ask questions during office hours, right? Kind of melding, synergistically bringing everything all together. But you got to ship the damn product. You got to ship the product. If you don't fucking ship, you ain't fucking doing anything. I want you to understand, if you sit there with a couple of bottles of beer and you shoot ideas off the wall all night, you haven't done shit. Again, people who say they're ideas people are fucking worthless. I don't care what your ideas are. Right? Anyways, it's the important thing is shipping. So why this comes up for me and why I think about this with burnout is, so one of the things that I'm doing in my personal time, again, work-life balance, anyways, the one sphere that is your existence, is I'm training for marathons. So hopefully in June, maybe, I'll be up for the marathons. If you've been following me for anything like the time, I've been running again for the past 3 years here in Asheville, because people in Asheville, they drink beer and they run. I can't really drink beer anymore, so I'm just going to run. I've been working on the half marathons. I think I've done 4 or 5 half marathons at this point. So how many have I done? I've done the Asheville, the Jump Off the Rock. I did so I've done 4. I've done 4 half marathons at this point. Signed up for a couple more, and I want to go and I want to push it to the full marathons, because that'll be cool. Like running, I like running as a hobby because it's the greatest hobby as an old tired person, because all you have to do is not stop, right? People who do like Civil War reenactment, there's a lot of work to doing Civil War reenactment, right? You got to figure out crap about the Civil War, and then you got to create costumes. And then for some reason, for fun, you have to pretend like you're a Civil War soldier back during the Civil War. What? No. The only thing worse than MREs? Not having MREs. Anyways, all right. There's so many hobbies out there that I just don't have enough brain power for it. So anyways, the thing that I like about running is when you run, especially when you start doing half marathons and you start training for marathons, people are impressed. It doesn't matter how fast you are. It doesn't matter. They're like, wow, you can run 13 miles. And the cool part, again, as I say, all you have to do, all there is to running is you start and then you just don't stop. Like literally, that's all you have to do. It's all you have to do. Just don't stop. Right? You have to set reasonable goals. Again, like for cardio or whatever. Right? But when you start, you're like, I'm going to run a mile. And then you know what you do? You start moving in a direction. And all you have to do is not stop until you hit a mile. As long as you just don't stop before you hit your goal. And then again, like you get your cardio bad, and then you do 2 miles, and then you do 6 miles, and then you do 12 and 13 miles, and hopefully at some points you do 26.6 miles, right? And basically that's a great thing. Like, so this morning I went out and I ran 7 miles. And what did I do? I started running 7 miles. And you know what I kept doing is I just kept not stopping. I just for 7 miles, I just didn't stop. And I got back home and I took a shower. Now I'm talking to you folks. That's what I like about running. And people are impressed by that. They're like, wow, you can not stop for like 2 hours. I'm like, yeah. I just keep going. Anyway, so I'm working on the whole marathon thing. So the half marathon thing is down well enough. Going for the marathon thing. And what I think about with this whole burnout deal, and again, all the stuff going on in the world around you, is so I did 14 miles on Monday. So 14 miles is the longest I've ever run. So way back when I lived in Baltimore City, something like 15 years ago, is the first time I hit 13 miles. And then, that was kind of good. It's a long way to run. You're like, I could run a full marathon, but isn't 13 miles good enough? So anyways, like 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I hit like 13 miles, and really never did much further. Again, 13.3 for the half marathons, and that was about the max of it. So anyways, I'm now training for the full marathons. 14 miles this week. Next week, hopefully do 15 miles, and keep going up. It takes a long time. It takes a long time. I do about 10-minute miles, so it's just a long time of not stopping. Anyways, why I think about this with burnout is so the idea was okay. So I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna run 2.5 miles or 2.5 hours in the morning. All right. So get up, start running about 8 o'clock in the morning, get done by somewhere around 10:30. And then my idea is once I run my 14 miles, right? I cool down, I take my shower, I drink my Gatorade, eat lunch at noon, have some downtime, eat lunch at noon, and then go to work. All right. So the idea was to knock out most of the rest of the e-courses for this e-course, this introduction to Python curriculum, get them knocked out by the end of the day, right? I get a lot of exercise in the morning, and then I just knock out the paperwork the rest of the day. And here's a funny thing that didn't happen. You know what I didn't do? Yeah, any of that paperwork. You know what I did do? I watched that new Transformers movie, which isn't bad. It's not great. The new Transformers 1 or whatever, with Optimus Prime and Megatron back in the day. Yeah, that was about all I had the brain power for. Like I got done. I got done. And to be honest with you, it was great. My knees had no issues. My feet weren't bad. Like there was no like structural muscular pain or anything. My muscles were sore. But otherwise, I actually felt really pretty damn good after I got done with the 14 miles. But I just had zero brain power. I was like, it's like, wow, I feel pretty darn good after running 14 miles. And then I went to do work. And I'm like, yeah, just, yeah, yeah. And I got no work done that day. I got no, even though I had planned for it, even though it seemed like it should work out well, the fact of the matter is I got no work done that day, no real work done that day, because basically I was burnt out. I used all of my energy and my faculties to run 14 miles in the morning. And that's one of the things I want you to be thinking about when you think about shipping your products and you think about why are you not able to ship your product? Is it because you're not disciplined? Is it not because you don't have motivation? Is it because your idea might be kind of stupid? Right? Like, maybe this isn't a good idea, right? Or is it because you're burned out from all of the other things going on in your life? Right? Again, if you have a crappy marriage or have a crappy relationship, if your brain is so much of the time is spent on that, do you have enough brain power left to ship product? Right? If there's insanity going on in your life, do you have enough brain power left to ship product? Again, if you're trying to be cool, you want to be one of the cool kids and you're going out, right? People work hard, play hard. Is done. Don't no. You work hard or you play hard. There's only so many hours in the day. Again, you only got so many brain power. Like, are you going out and are you, spending the night drinking and coming up with ideas to such a degree that you just don't have the energy in the morning to actually go through and get things accomplished, right? I think this is an important thing to be thinking about with when, especially in the initial part when you're trying to actually launch whatever it is you're trying to launch. So at some point in the future, like, I don't know, hopefully a year or two from now, like the e-courses for Silicon Dojo, right? We'll have 10 or 15 e-courses up there. I'll be doing the Zoom things. We'll be doing the office hours. All of this kind of stuff will just be kind of like you get to a point with inertia. Here's the thing with all businesses. You want it to get to the point of inertia. You want to build your own cog. I have a friend of mine. He used to say, he was an Indian friend, and basically he used to say, the freest man in the world is the one who decides to be a slave. Now stop. I know every American out there was about to open their damn mouth. Stop. Listen. This is a video. It's one way of communication. One way. You can't scream at the screen. You can scream at the screen, doesn't do anything. It's always funny. Whenever I say this to any white people, they lose their damn minds. They won't shut up for half a second to actually conceive of what this means. But what the idea with it, basically, the concept is, again, if you really think about it in the world, you kind of are a slave to something, right? Again, if you want your house, like we don't own anything in the United States. There's this whole thing. Again, our education is so bad in the United States. Like the rebels, Revolutionaries don't even realize they lost. You lost like 100 years ago. Anyway, like there's this whole thing in the United States, right? You will own nothing and be happy for it, right? Yeah, it's been that way for a long time. I read a lot. Anyways, I was reading a biography of Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone in the 1800s. And one of the reasons, I think he left North Carolina. It was either North Carolina. Anyways, wherever he was at, he was leaving North Carolina for Kentucky. Kentucky, the utopia. That was the promised land back in the day. Anyways, one of the reasons he left one of the East Coast states to go to Kentucky was because the property taxes has gotten so expensive. His family couldn't afford the property taxes. I just want you to think about this for 1 second. In the home of the free and the land of the brave, or whatever other horse crap, in the 1800s, Daniel fucking Boone had to go conquer a new state because his family couldn't afford the property taxes back then. But anyways, you all keep taking your pills. You all keep taking your red pills, your black pills, or whatever. I'm just gonna deal with reality, right? Anyways, so the interesting again, if you look at especially the modern Americans, so you're a slave to somebody. Again, like you don't, right? You spend $1 million on a house. You spend $1 million on a house. Yeah, tell me how much you own that house if you miss a couple of tax payments. Huh. Kind of funny. Wait a minute. You mean the government can take away your multi-million-dollar house because you didn't pay a couple, $10,000 in taxes over a couple years? Yes, because you don't actually own your house. State owns your house. But anyways, right? So anyways, one of the things to be thinking about, right, is that you're a slave. Again, you are a slave. You're a better slave. I mean, you're not getting whipped or whatever else, right? But again, your life is controlled by outside forces. Sorry, it's just fucking reality. Anyway, so the idea with the freest man in the world is the one who decides to be a slave is if, with your own free will, you decide to be a slave. Is not that the freest person? You have decided to be what you actually are. Anyways, one of the things I think about with business is that basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to build your own cog. You're trying to build your own cog, right? This whole idea, like the business people and entrepreneurs and founders should be running all over the place, and every day should be excitement, and every day should be insanity. What? How the fuck do you build a business that way? That's just not how business works. You know how business works? By doing the exact same thing. It's pizza. Pizza should be the model for your business, right? A 300 pie hour. Think about that with a pizza delivery company. I was talking about it with one of the last videos. Pizza delivery company. They do a 300 pie hour. In one single hour, they make 300 custom widgets, custom items that are made, that are manufactured, that are packaged, that are given to a delivery driver and are shipped out. 300. You can only fucking do that if you systematize everything, right? And so one of the things to be thinking about is that's where your business should be. Where your business should be going to is systematizing everything. And at some point, once you systematize everything, then it's a lot of inertia. You come in, you sign the checks, you poke some people, you figure out what the hell's going on, you make sure everything's doing basically what it's supposed to be doing, and then it's fine, right? If you don't have all your brain power, when everything is just going on by inertia, you're probably okay. But one of the things to consider is initially, when you're trying to get your project off the ground, when time matters, when money matters, when you don't have inertia, because you are out there doing all kinds of wacky stuff, right? The more your energy is being consumed by all of these things other than actually shipping product, you do have to realize how far behind the ball that's going to put you. And so one of the things to ask yourself is the macro environment that you are in conducive to you shipping product? And if it's not, how can you change things so it would be conducive for you shipping product? right? Think about it. Like if you have a house or if you have a place to live that you can barely afford. So let's say, again, I don't know. Let's say you're actually done well, so you can actually afford a house, but you got these mortgage payments, right? So you got these mortgage payments. You have to make these mortgage payments every month as you're trying to do a startup. So you're working all day, and you got your spouse, and you've got your startup, and you need to pay the mortgage payments, right? And that's a lot of stress on you. Trying to make sure the mortgage payment gets paid every month is a lot of stress. One of the things to ask yourself is, can you downsize? Right? While you're trying to do this startup company, can you go to a house or an apartment or whatever that's half the cost? If you had to outlay half the money for your rent or your mortgage, would that put you into a better mental space for being able to try to ship products? Right? Kind of thing to be thinking about. Again, are you exercising? Are you training for a marathon? Are you training for a marathon as you try to get your fever dream off the ground? That might not be a good idea. that might not be a good idea, right? Something to ponder, something to ponder, something to think about. So, anyways, are you burning out? Are you burning out from the macro environment? And what can you do to change that? I'm just gonna go a little bit slower. Yeah, this is for me. For me, this is a fever dream. This is all a fever dream. Will this work? Will this fail? Who knows? I'm just going along for the ride. If it has to get pushed back by a couple of days, if it has to get pushed back by a couple of weeks, that's fine. Whatever. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I just kind of thought that was kind of an interesting thing to just be thinking about. Because again, it just put me out for a day. Again, that's the thing. It's like 2.5 hours of exercise, right? Hey, it's 2.5 hours of exercise. You know, take a shower, maybe have an hour of downtime. Hey, I'll give myself an extra hour of downtime. But by after lunch, I should be good to go. And it wasn't. And it wasn't. I was good to watch Transformers 1, and that was about it. Anyways, some things to ponder, some things to think about. Are you burning yourself out? Because that's what I see with so many people, right? They just got so much insanity going on in their lives. And they're like, why can't I focus? Why can't I accomplish anything? Right? I think about this when I was a kid, right? So when I was a kid, I had a weird childhood. Weird childhood. And when I say I have a weird childhood, like most people are like, oh yeah, I had a weird childhood. No, fuck you. I had a weird childhood. I went from K through 6th grade, I went to 5 different schools. Like, no lie. 5, or the kindergarten was a school. 1st grade was in a different state. 2nd, 3rd, part of 4th was in a different school district. Part of 4th was in a different state. 5th and 6th was in a different state. Anyways, I got bounced over. My childhood was just batty. My childhood was bad. Anyway, and the older I get, the more stupid I realize the parental units, the authority figures around me were. Because it's always interesting when I think about that time period. I did really bad in school. I did not do good in school. And the reason is because my life was insane. And what's always interesting, though, is all these different states, these different places, the teachers would sit me down. The teachers would all sit me down. They're like, Eli, I don't understand. You're such a smart kid, but you're just not doing good in school. And even at that age, I was like, well, what's not to understand? My bedroom was a walk-in closet. My bedroom was a walk-in closet for years. Again, stupidity. Oh, let me tell you about the stupidity of having an alcoholic single mother. Just not. Makes a man out of you in the worst kind of ways. Anyways, right? But I think that's the intro. And again, as I get older, I think one of the most interesting things, I look back, again, especially in my childhood, and I had these very serious, like, authority figures. They're like, Eli, I just don't understand. You're a bright kid, and you're a smart kid. You're obviously a capable kid, but you're just not living up to your abilities in school. And I would just look at him. And he was like this 8-year-old. I was like, man, I'm tired. I'm just so fucking tired. Are we done yet? And that was the thing, right? Because all my brain power is being used. Like most kids, right? You are where you are, and you go through. Whether you're the cool kid, whether you're the jock, whether you're the nerd, whether you're a dork, right? You go in kindergarten and you ride that ride. You got to high school, and you're basically in one set. Man, oh fuck me. I was getting bounced all over the place, and basically just being told, deal. And then you go to school, and they're like, oh, I don't understand why you're not living up to our expectations. And it's like, hey, what about my expectation? Anyways, but I think that's one of the interesting things to be thinking about. And again, for a lot of people that are watching my videos, it's one of those things to consider, again, with your life circumstance. Because again, it's an interesting thing for me to like look at my life now. I look at my life for 25 years, like once I got out of the insanity, and realize, wow, my life is so boring. That's a good thing. And your life can be boring too. Your life can be boring too. Like when you're in insanity, like there's this idea that this is the world and this is life and this is just how things are. It's like, no, you're in insanity surrounded by insane people. And the door's over there. The door, that's the thing. I talk about the door, right? The door, right? When you're doing interrogation, you can't let people realize where the door is. That's the same thing with insane people. Insane people can't let you realize that there's a door. You can just leave. There's a door. Look, there's a door. You can leave. You can go to sanity. And I think that's one of the sad things. So again, a lot of my viewers and a lot of people I talk to is they don't realize, like they're like, oh man, I can't accomplish anything. I can't focus or whatever else. It's like, yeah, because you're in the middle of insanity. You're in the middle of insanity. And so if all of your brain power is being used in this absolutely batshit crazy environment that you're in, how are you going to have the wherewithal to basically accomplish shipping your product? Because every time you think you're getting to stability, every time you think you understand what's going on, basically the game board gets flipped over and you're starting over again, right? You spend the energy to get from point A to point B, and then you're looking off to get to point M, and all of a sudden you're back at point A. And you get to point A, B, and then you're back to point A. And then you get to point B, and then you're back to point A, right? But you can't get to an environment. You can't just leave. You just leave. And then like one day you leave and they're just sitting in your apartment, and then you just kind of sit there with a cup of coffee. And you just kind of stare around your apartment one day and you're like, wow, it is so quiet. It's amazing how quiet this apartment is. This is lovely. I guess I'll ship some product today. So anyways, some things to think about. Again, whether you're living in insanity or whether you're just overtraining for a marathon when maybe you should be shipping product. All of that burns you out from the ability to ship product. And so it's something to ponder. It's something to ponder. It's something to think about. And it's also, again, from should you be a founder? Should you be a founder, right? If you're a new parent, is this really the time to start your startup company? It's like, oh man, my kid woke me up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get to sleep until 5 o'clock. Now I've got to go and do proposals or whatever. I'm just going to say, maybe if you had a job, maybe if you just had a job that paid you a decent amount of money, maybe you should just do that until your kid gets into grade school. And then maybe once your kid gets into grade school, that's the time to do a startup company. Again, I think that's also one of the interesting things with timing. Like there's this idea that you have to do stuff now. You have to do it now. It's like, do you? Again, think about this, right? So let's say you had a kid. Let's say you just had a kid, right? Kids. Again, nothing against kids, but they're just insane. Like, is this the time to start your startup company? Or as you're up at 1 o'clock in the morning, rocking your kid back and forth, maybe you can do some more research about the industry that you're getting into. As you're rocking the kid back and forth, maybe you can do some more research on how to get investment and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you can start writing some of the things like the contracts and the proposals and the stuff that you need in 4 years, right? Instead of trying to launch a startup company when you're already in the middle of absolute insanity, what if you just did the prep work so that when you go to launch your startup company in 4 years or 5 years or whatever else, that all the prep work is already done so you can just walk into what you're doing? I don't know. Some things to ponder. Some things to think about. So anywho, yeah, I'm up to 14 miles. Up to 14 miles. Next Monday, I'm going to do 15 miles. Then we're going to do 16 miles. So apparently with a marathon, so I've been looking at how you're supposed to train for marathons. And so the idea is before a marathon, you're supposed to run 80% of a marathon. And they always say 80% of a marathon, which is weird. Like they just don't say the number. They don't just say like, you should run 22 miles before a marathon. They all agree you should run 22% of a marathon. Like, or 80% of a marathon. You're like, what? Anyways, so I'm gonna have to run 21 miles. So between now and I don't know, the summer, I have to get from 14 miles in a run to 21 miles in a run. And then once I've got to 21 miles in a run, then I've got to run 26 miles. And it's so long. It's so long. You know how long it takes? Because that's the other thing too. Like with like running, it's just a long time. Like I ran 7 miles this morning. 7 miles this morning. So it was a little over an hour. It was over an hour of just not stopping. Again, 14 miles was 2.5 hours of not stopping. You do realize like 26 miles is not simply running 26 miles. Like there is the exertion of running 26 miles. But there's also running for me for like 4.5 hours. So for me to run 21 miles at about a 10-minute mile, which is what I'm at, oh, that is 210 minutes of running. So what is that? Yeah, that's right about 3.5 miles. So 21 miles, about 3.5 hours. Yeah, 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours to run 80% of a marathon. Fuck. But anyways, something to do. So there you go. Some things to ponder, some things to consider. Again, Silicon Dojo. We're still going along with Fever Dream. We do have office hours out. Office hours do exist. We actually have our first person sign up for an office hour next Monday, and we're going to keep them going on Monday, and then we'll see how that goes. And we're just going to keep pushing the ball forward. And so with that, I actually do have to go and finish that introduction to Python series. So I'll see y'all later.